Hello everyone, welcome to another Chosen Ones live video. In this one, a new topic for you. Something that I haven't spoken about before. Today we're going to be talking about why you cannot trust anyone. Yes, as a chosen one, you cannot trust anyone. It doesn't matter if it is. And the way you got to look at it is it's essentially the same thing as, you know, those trucks that carry a ton of cash to and from banks or wherever it may be. They can't trust anyone. I mean, you see them, the people who work for those companies, they wear helmets, and sometimes they may be armed, sometimes they may not be, just in case someone takes the weapon and uses it against them. And then of course the vehicle is protected. It's designed in a way to protect what is inside of it. And that's how you've got to view yourself as a chosen one. In any interaction, any situation, you are like that truck carrying tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of pounds or dollars. But that's you. And that's why you need to be very guarded. Because in any interaction, any situation, you are the one who has the most value. You are the one who has the most to lose. And I can prove that right now by stating something that you probably feel every day as a chosen one, an empath. In every situation, every interaction, how do you typically feel afterwards? Do you feel like you gained something from that? Or do you feel like you lost something? As though you were depleted? And especially at the end of each day, you feel drained. You feel like you've given everything you've got and you've lost so much, you've got nothing back in return. And that's because your value is off the charts. And it is for a reason, because we came down once to give as much value as we can to the world. The only problem is we don't know who is worthy of it and who is not. This is something that we learn through experience. So we have a few experiences and then we learn, okay, that person wasn't deserving of my value. I shouldn't have given that to them. And then you learn that some people are not to be trusted. And then of course, the older you get, as you move through life, you begin to realize that most people in this world are not to be trusted. They're not to be trusted, especially around you, because of your value. Now, if it's something with no value at all, then it doesn't matter, because it just wouldn't make a difference. If it's something that is not worth anything, then no one's going to bother with it. No one's going to take it. people might not even notice it. They might not even be aware of it, but when it's something valuable, it glitters, it shines, it has a light of its own, and everyone can see it, everyone's aware of it, and they want to take something from it. And this may not be a physical item, it could just be your energy. And in most situations, that's probably what it will be. As a chosen one, a lot of people are going to want your energy. And this is the difficult part about it, because since you've come down to this world with a very specific mission, a very specific purpose, you want to give people your energy. You want to promote healing. The problem is that a lot of people are wearing masks, and they're not about that. And you may notice this in your own family, your social circle. You could have people coming into your life acting as though they want to build a relationship, a marriage, a future with you, but they're just playing a role. They're not really about that for real. They're only doing it to get something from you, because where better to get it than from its source? Because they understand that they're not going to get that type of value anywhere else. No one else is going to be able to generate that intensity, that volume of what you can provide. Nobody else is going to be able to do that. And this is why many of you may find yourself becoming victims of smear campaigns and gang stalking, because they haven't got anywhere else to go. Someone like you, a chosen one, an empath, that is very, very rare in the world. It's extremely rare to find that potency of energy, that level of positivity and optimism. That's so rare in the world today. And that is why when people see you, they're going to want some of that. The problem is, as I mentioned, most people are not deserving of it. And when people are not deserving of something, what do? They abuse it. And they're not deserving of it because it's not going to help them. It's not going to better them in any way, because it's not meant for them. It's meant for people who are more like you. So as a chosen one, you're going to find that a lot of people in this world are going to try to get your attention, so that you will provide this source energy to them. Because a lot of people in this world have sold their souls for money and power. That's what they have done. And so they're trying to come back to that source energy, which you get naturally as a chosen one. The problem is they're going about it the wrong way, because instead of elevating, instead of coming up, they're trying to bring you down, so that then they're able to reach you, instead of them doing the work to climb up to where you are. And this is why it can be very dangerous for you as a chosen one to be around these types of people, because in order for you to share this wonderful energy with them, in order for you to do that, you have to go down, because they're going to pull you down with them. It's the only way, because they're not capable, they don't have the internal resources to climb higher to where you're at. Sometimes they can make you believe that they can, but then that's only for a short period of time. It doesn't last for long. And this is why you need to be very wary of this, of the different tactics that they use to get inside your head, because they understand at some level that yes, it's much better being you. They don't feel comfortable in their own skin. They're not happy being themselves. So you cannot trust most people in the world today. When you are a chosen one, when you're a high value person, most people are just looking at you as something that they can just use, exploit, take advantage of. That's how they're looking at you. And this is why you need to be very careful. You need to know who you're dealing with. You need to have discernment, because otherwise you're going to get caught up in another situation where someone's just seeing your light, they're seeing what you have to give, and then they're just going to use you and exploit you for all you're worth. And even then, it's not going to be serving them, because we're just not meant for them and they're not meant for us. They have to stay down where they're at instead of pulling us down to their level. If they want to heal and they want to elevate, then that's fine. They are very welcome where we are at our level of vibration, because that's how love works. We welcome and accept anyone. Anyone is welcome in the heavens. There is no discrimination. Anyone can come. Anyone can be a chosen one. You just have to make that choice. And once you've really made that choice from your heart, then there is no going back. So anyone can be a chosen one. Anyone is welcome in the heavens, as long as they are operating at that level of vibration of love. Because when you love, then there is no harm. The problem with most people in the world today is that they want to pull you down to their level. Now that's only going to be harming you. It's only going to be hurting you, taking away from you. People like that are not welcome where we're going as chosen ones. And that's why what they're trying to do, whether they consciously know it or not, I would assume that they wouldn't be consciously aware of it, but they just naturally seem to have this crabs in the bucket mentality, where they try to pull you down to their level. And, you know, I don't blame them for that anymore. The way that I prefer to look at it is as though this is actually a test for me. This is testing me on whether or not I want to go and play in the mud with a pig. Like George Bernard Shaw's quote, never wrestle with pigs, you might get dirty, and besides, the pig likes it. So for me, that is just a test. And what tends to happen is when you get pulled into that, sometimes you may lose it, you may get angry, it may upset you, but you just have to become aware of it. Notice how when you have this awareness of yourself and your emotions and how you're perceiving something, then that anger, that upset, that all goes away. And this is how we can identify that whenever someone's trying to pull you into their mud, whenever someone's trying to battle it out with you, that's coming from a low vibration. Whenever someone's trying to control you, all of this is low vibrational, it's low consciousness. And you'll realize that because when they do these things to you, you feel anger, you feel upset, you feel like maybe you want to get revenge, you want to hurt them back. But that's all coming from a lower consciousness. Almost like a robot, it's just this programming. So once you come back to yourself, you connect back to the source energy, all of that goes away. You no longer desire to harm anyone. And all you really desire to do is feel the love for yourself, this world, and everyone around you. But of course, sometimes you may experience repeated offenses, repeated attacks, where someone just keeps coming at you and they just won't leave you alone. And what tends to happen there is that you're just going to float in and out of consciousness. You're going to go into it and then you're going to come back out at some point when you then return to the light. So in order to engage with most people, you're having to go into the darkness, into the lower realms of consciousness. And in all honesty, I don't know much about where that leads. I have done my research on it a little bit. The lower consciousness is, I mean, in this realm, in the human realm, from what we know, it's a void. Lower consciousness is a void, it's a black hole. It's really nothingness. It needs to take. It's like the ego, it's a void, it's never happy, it's never satisfied, it always wants more. So instead of falling into that misery, into that void, that black hole, which just leads you into the darkness, instead of doing that, come back to the light, practice gratitude, be grateful for who you are and what you have. That then brings you into the higher realms of consciousness. And as we know, that is love. And this is also a form of enlightenment. I'm not saying I'm enlightened, but I'm saying that this is what enlightenment is about. This is what the Buddha was speaking about. And we need to consistently move into the higher realms of consciousness. We need to move into the love, because this entire universe, as we know it, this is all love. And of course it is. Just look around at this world. We have this life, this consciousness. And just look at a baby. They don't have any fears. They don't have any negative emotions. That's all learned. It's just pure love. The same things with animals and nature. It's all of a high vibration. A lot of it's all learned. It's all learned behavior. At our core, we are love, and we must tap into that. We must remain in the highest state of consciousness. But by doing that, now this is where it gets confusing, because when you're in the higher vibrations, you can't perceive of the lower vibrations. You're not aware of it. And that might sound great. If you're just going about the world, you can't see any problems, you can't see any bad people. And if anyone interacts with you, just mistake them as just being a loving, kind human being, just like yourself. But that's when the problem comes in, because not everyone is like us, not everyone is a chosen one. So that can create a lot of problems, because as the title states, you can't trust most people. So how does that work then? What do we do if we're meant to be in the highest states of consciousness? We're meant to be in a vibration of love, but then at the same time, love blinds you and it can get you harmed. Does that mean that we're meant to be like Jesus? Now, I was born as a Christian. I'm not a practicing Christian. I do like Buddhism, but I'm not particularly religious myself. Although I know that a lot of Chosen One videos are more to do with Christianity. But just referring to Jesus for a moment, is that an act of love? Is it an act of love to just be completely blind to anything that could harm you and to sacrifice yourself on a cross? Is that love? I would say no. No, that's not love at all. How can sacrificing yourself be love? By doing that, you're actually committing an act of abuse. You're harming yourself. Sacrificing yourself for other people is not a good thing. It is not love, because you're hurting yourself by doing that. You're hurting God's creation. God created you, and especially you as a chosen one, and you're harming yourself. So that is an act of disrespect to the divine, to God, to the higher power. This is why we must protect, we must guard ourselves and not let anything harm us. And also, as clinical studies have shown, people who bully, they are at a 10 to 25 times risk of developing a psychiatric condition more than their own bullies who they, more than their own victims who they bully, harm, and intimidate. So, with that in mind, even if you think that it's an act of service for you to sacrifice yourself for other people, actually no. They could be getting harmed 10 to 25 times more by letting them harm you, or by you sacrificing yourself for them. and they are then witnessing your suffering, your trauma, and they're absorbing that. It's becoming a part of them. But it's like secondhand smoke. It's affecting them far more than it's affecting you. So with that in mind, and with that in mind, I believe that sacrificing ourselves is not an act of love. It's actually of a lower vibration, of a very low vibration. Because if you are in the vibration of love, you will then protect yourself as well. So sometimes people may think that they're vibrating at the level of love, but they're actually not. Because you think you're loving everyone, but what about yourself? You're a human being, a chosen one, a creation of God. So you can't be harmed as well. And also, if you get harmed, it harms other people because they witness your suffering, your trauma. But especially if they are the cause of it, if they're bullying or intimidating you, then they are at a 10 to 25 times risk of developing a psychiatric condition, as in reference to clinical studies. So what we must do every time is that when they pull you into the darkness, you must train yourself to always come back to the lights. Because this is what has happened to a lot of people, is that they went into the darkness and they couldn't find their way out. They couldn't get back out of it. It's kind of like Alice in Wonderland, when Alice goes down the rabbit hole. But luckily she does find her way back out at the end. But for a lot of people, it's not that way for them. So I hope I've cleared up the confusion there on what the vibration of love really is. We cannot forget ourselves. And by realizing that, you can see that you're actually, even if in some way, I mean, depending on how you look at it, even if you think you're harming people, by not sacrificing yourself for them and by not letting them harm you, you're still not, because of the clinical research, they're going to be harmed so much more by you giving in, by you enabling them and letting them do whatever they want. And also consider the fact that if you're a chosen one, then you can serve so many people, you can heal so many, rather than just to provide for one person. So all of these things, all of these aspects need to be taken into consideration. All of these things need to be understood. So yeah, you definitely cannot trust most people in the world today. Most people, they're only in it for themselves. They're only in it for what they can get from you. And they don't have anything to bring to you. As I mentioned, most people, they live in a void. They're living in darkness. They're in a black hole. So what typically happens is, it's like George Bernard Shaw's quote, "Never rest with a pig, you might get dirty, and besides, the pig likes it." What happens is, when you get pulled into that void, into that darkness, It's like you're going to do anything you can to try and get out of it. You're going to have to fight your way out, because that's really the only way to get out of it, other than just to lay down and die. And of course, that's not the way to go. We must return to the light. We cannot let ourselves just lay in the darkness, go into the void, the abyss, because that is not where we belong as chosen ones. But unfortunately, because of the way the world is going, that's what you will experience a lot of times, is that you are constantly going in and out of the darkness. People are constantly pulling you down. It's like they're reaching up their hands and just trying to grab you and pull you down with them. And you just got to say no. You got to fight your way out. You cannot stay down there with them, because this is what happens with a lot of people. Like some people, they develop personality disorders, mental illnesses, all sorts of problems in their life, because they're going down with very toxic people, maybe narcissists, people who are in the dark, people who are in a void, and it just sucks the life out of you. And before you know it, you become just like them. And when that happens, it's very difficult to find your way out. It really is. What can help is that you are surrounded by other chosen ones. Now, of course, that's easier said than done, because if you can find even just one of the chosen one in this life, you are quite fortunate, because they are very rare. Empaths are very rare. So ideally, if you could be around other chosen ones, then that would help to protect you, because then you're being influenced by the light and just supporting each other to remain in a high vibration. And the way this works, how is it measured over time, or is it at the end of our lives that it really counts to remain in a high vibration? It's more, what are you trying to do? What is your intention behind all of it? Do you want to be something good? Do you want to be of the light? Are you trying to bring other people into the vibration of love? Is that what you're trying to do? Or are you trying to bring people into the darkness? And that's really what defines it all. It's all based on whatever it is that you personally are trying to accomplish. Yeah, so the people, they may try and pull you down, but then what are you? Are you going to remain there? Or are you going to climb back up? What will happen is that when you do return to the light, you will know, because they will know. they sense it immediately when you are elevating. It's essentially the same thing as them seeing you climb up. It's like, imagine there's a ladder stretching up to the sky from the ground. Now, when you're climbing the first few 100 steps, maybe, not many people are going to be able to see you if there's a lot of big trees or mountains. But once you start to climb high, once you start to really elevate, then everyone can see you. And the higher that you can get, the more that people are going to see, until it gets to a point where it's like the entire world can see you. The entire world is aware, because now you're so high up. You've climbed thousands of steps. It's like, initially you climbed maybe a few hundred steps. You thought you were elevating, you thought you were getting somewhere. And it's like you weren't much higher than this condo here. Because there's so many levels. You've got to keep climbing, you've got to keep elevating. And before you know it, it's like you've climbed to the height of the highest skyscraper in the world in Dubai. Can't remember what that's called, but I think that's about 1 kilometer in height. And then a lot of people can see you at that point, that a lot of people are aware of that vibration that you're carrying. And then you keep going, you get to Mount Fuji. Now you're about 4,000 meters. Mount Everest, you climb over there, you're over 8,000 meters. Wherever you go, it doesn't matter how you try to interact or converse with someone, automatically, just by you being around them, just by them seeing you, you're going to bring up their shame. They're going to start feeling bad about themselves. It's going to bring everything up to try and get them to heal. And if they're not at a place in their life where they're able to become aware of that and attend to it, then what happens is they're going to deflect it onto you, and they're going to try and attack you. And this is why, as a chosen one, it's like wherever you go, people are on you, people are trying to attack you. People want to bring you down to their level for that reason. Just like with aliens, aliens are of such a high vibration. So if they came down to this world, I'm not saying that they haven't come down already, but just saying that if a UFO or whatever aircraft landed somewhere in the world, it would bring up the shame, the lower vibrations in all of us, because they're of such a high vibration. And this is why also people of a low vibration, they don't tend to like nature too much. They don't want to be out in the woods on their own, because it's a high vibration there, and they're of a low vibration, so it may bring up their shame. And this is why when people go for a walk somewhere, they start to think about things start to come up. It's like you could be arguing with your boyfriend or girlfriend, your husband or wife. They go out for a walk on their own, Maybe they go to the park, they go for a walk in the woods, and you might have had an argument before that, but then they come back, and then you're able to talk to them because they've gone out into nature and it's just brought up the shame and they've attended to it. So now they're able to communicate with you more effectively with a sense of resolve. And typically the reason why most people prefer to stay in the dark, it's because a lot of people have a void, so they're always wanting more. But not only that, it's because they may have done a lot of things wrong that they're not proud of. They may have a lot of skeletons in the closet, a lot of things that they swept under the rug, and they don't want to be honest with themselves about it. They don't want to come out and tell the world exactly who they are. Instead, they would rather hide, just like a covert narcissist. But honestly, if you want to move into the light, if you want to raise your vibration, it's the best thing that you can do. It's just to be honest with yourself and be honest with everyone. Just expose yourself to the world. Just be like, this is me. And a lot of people will not accept you. They will turn against you. That's the reality of it. But the only reason why is because they can't deal with their own stuff. It has nothing to do with you and everything about them. They can't deal with their own mess. So when you see all of these people on social media, and it's like they got so many friends, they got so many things going on, and then there's you feel like you're just at home on your own every day. No one wants to bother with you. You feel like you've got no friends, and you don't talk much with your family maybe. All of these other people, they bond together because they're on a similar vibration. They're all shame-based. And that's how they're able to be friends. That's how they're able to associate, because they all just deny themselves. They're dishonest with themselves, and they're able to be fake. When you're able to be fake, you can have tons of friends, you can have so many followers on Instagram, but when you're being real, you will have very few friends, if any, because if you're being real, it puts pressure on them to be real as well. And they're not ready for that. They may never be ready for it, because they do not accept themselves. They're not in the vibration of love. They don't love themselves. Instead, they feel a lot of shame. So that's another thing as well, is that if you are looking for a friend, if you are looking for someone who you can trust, it's typically going to be someone who is alone themselves and doesn't have many people who accept them. It could be someone who's targeted, someone who's a victim of gang stalking, a smear campaign, a victim of a narcissist, someone who's scapegoated by their family. That's where you'll find the empaths and the chosen ones. But sometimes, and this is very rare, but also certain influencers, social media, yes, some of them, they're able to be true and real. They're able to expose themselves to the world as who they actually are, rather than being fake. And by doing that, they've managed to heal and move into a high vibration. And I can say this from experience as well, because when I'm making these videos, there isn't much preparation that goes on behind the scenes. I'm just pretty much just laying in my room on my bed, or sometimes I am going for a walk in the park or wherever I may be, and I'm not thinking too much about how the video is going to be. So I'm just presenting you with my authentic self, who I actually am and what I actually think. And by doing that, it's healing me. What damages us, what harms us, is when we're not being real, when we're being fake, when we deny or suppress our true thoughts, feelings, emotions, desires, ambitions, goals, and dreams. That is what harms us, and that's what keeps us in a low vibration. And typically that is out of fear or shame. So healing is about acceptance, it's about being honest with ourselves. And this is why you can't trust most people, because they're not accepting themselves. They're not being honest with themselves. And that's really it. I mean, if everyone could be honest with themselves, there would be no problems. Then you would know who you can associate with, who you need to avoid. And of course, instantly, by being honest with themselves instead of being in denial, you could soon associate with those people as well. Because that's all that it takes, is the honesty, the acceptance, for you to then begin to heal. What keeps you in the lower vibration, what harms you, damages you, and prevents you from healing, is that denial. Not accepting who you actually are, not accepting your past, maybe the things that you might have done wrong, your thoughts, your mistakes, the things that you are ashamed of. All of this is a part of ourselves. We must incorporate the good and bad aspects of ourselves to become an authentic whole. And that's how we then heal and move on. Instead of just having these fragments of self. My brain is hurting already. Someone come over here and give me a head massage, please. But no, I do enjoy sharing these messages with you. It just hurts my head a lot because, of course, as I mentioned in this video, I know most people, they prefer to be in denial. They don't want to be honest with themselves about who they are, because they fear, of course, that no one would accept them. And a lot of times that's how it is that when you're real, you will have very little or no friends. It's only when you're able to be fake, then you can have all of the friends, all of the followers on Instagram, then everyone supports you then. And it's the same thing with these algorithms. I'm just reading through the live chat. Anthony J asks, do you believe in God, my friend? Yes, of course, as I have mentioned in this video and past videos, I do believe in God. I mean, myself, I'm not just about having blind faith. I do like to be open-minded about things, and I welcome those who may be agnostic, atheist. Everyone is welcome on my channel, and I appreciate your comments, your feedback as well, because I am about the truth rather than just blind faith. And I won't lie, I do have some interest as well in the other side of the coin about agnostic and atheist ideas. I can understand that point of view too. I can see that can make sense. Whereas, like, you know, from an atheist point of view, we're just like these mammals on a rock that, and we just think everything through our brains, and we just float on one rock of, as far as we know, trillions of stars in this universe. And they say there could be a multiverse as well. So of course, yeah, I can understand that perspective. I mean, it does make a lot of sense. But I've done enough research myself, and I've had enough experiences throughout my life to where I don't think there is anything that could affect my faith. But then at the same time, I welcome it, because I like to test it. I mean, what better way to test your faith than to have someone challenge or oppose it? And that's why I don't like to silence anyone. I welcome it, because I'm not insecure about it. So, yeah, I welcome all atheists, agnostic, whoever you are. And your comments, your feedback is appreciated. Lisa Holmes says everyone wants the truth, right up until you give it to them. That's very true, and it's interesting because I've never been like that myself. But I get it, because it's it aligns well with what I'm talking about in this video. Is that a lot of people, they just want to push the truth. They don't want to see it, they don't want to hear about it, they just don't want to know. They'd rather just settle for just comfortable falsehoods than the bitter truth, because the truth hurts. But I've always preferred the truth, because I think the fake and the lies, that will hurt you more. Less initially, but more over a longer period of time. So it's better to have the truth. Just let it sting a little bit in the beginning, but then gradually you can heal from it. And it's better to just take that red pill and be out of the matrix, rather than to be stuck in it, believing a lie. Lorraine Diane says God sees everything. Nothing gets past him. I believe so. Because we are all connected to an origin, to a creator. So if we go all the way back from where we are right now, if we could go back in time, it would take us back to the beginning of mankind, the beginning of the universe. It takes you back to the creator, to what started everything. And this is whether you believe in God or not. So yes, it all starts with something that created everything. So we all originate from that. Doesn't matter who you are, as far as we know. I mean, there could be these separate worlds and universes and everything, these different dimensions. I mean, science does show that there are various different dimensions. And right now, I believe we are in the third or fourth dimension. Or maybe the fourth dimension. I think that's space and time, or that could be the fifth. I'm not sure. I haven't done much research on this for a while. But yeah, we all come back to one original creator. So we're all connected to that. And we're all tied to it, because we cannot exist without it. So anything that happens, anything that we do, it's all interconnected with that. And who knows, I mean, maybe there is a way to separate yourself from it, to separate yourself from God. I mean, separate yourself from the light, remain in darkness, where you can then do whatever you want. The consequence of that is that you then remain in the dark. So you become a reprobate, and God just gives up on you. But I'd rather remain in the light. I'd rather be challenged, tested. Even if it's every day of my life, that is what I would prefer. Rather than to be disowned, forgotten about, and just left where I could just do whatever I like. It's better to remain in the light. Even though, yes, we will be judged. It's better to be judged than not to be judged. Cheeky asks, so things happen in the spirit first, before they drop into the physical? From my research and from what I believe in is that we already existed in spirit before we were physical. And keep in mind that we live in a vast universe. So there's so many different galaxies, so many different stars, so many different places where we might have originated from. Just gonna close this door because I know there's so many horns every few seconds out there. I was at the mercy of the horns, whatever country I go to. But yeah, I believe that we began in spirit first, before we became physical. Before we entered this physical body. And what I was thinking about earlier today is, I was thinking, what if this life is all that there is? Sometimes I like to entertain the idea for a moment. And I thought about when we go to sleep and when we dream. It's like, then we're not consciously thinking. And we might just be dreaming about something. It's like we're not really there. Then maybe if we're not, because we're not here, maybe we're somewhere else. Maybe that's when we do return to a higher dimension. Maybe we do then return to spirit. And maybe that's connected with our dreams. Some theories do identify with that. Rosemary Moore says, Chris, I wanted to give you your flowers if it was not for your videos. I would have never made it through my separation and divorce. Your delivery, tone, compassion, and patience while teaching helped. I appreciate that, Rosemary. But just so everyone knows, my name is actually Christopher rather than Chris. But I do appreciate the kind words there. And, you know, it's good to hear that, because, of course, I know that a lot of people, they just don't want to hear it. They do not want to become consciously aware of these types of things. They just want to shut it all out and just remain like a hamster on a wheel in this conveyor belt lifestyle, operating from their programming for the rest of their lives until they die. Of course, I am aware of that. So it's good to know that there are, of course, people out there who do want to hear this, because they are ready for what I believe is the truth about people and the world that we live in. And of course, there are a lot of facts and statistics to back this up. But yeah, a lot of people, they definitely don't want to hear any of this. And that's why we get so many trolls, and there's always so many bait comments, because, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, so many people are in the dark. They're at a much lower vibration, and they've got to just pull you down from that, because they're very uncomfortable. It's bringing up their shame, and they just want to pass their shame off onto you. It's very clear when people are traumatized, when they're going through something. It's like they need you to know, because they want you to feel how they feel. But yeah, I hope some of you got something out of this. I hope that it did vibe with you, and that you recognize why most people are not to be trusted, especially with you being a chosen one, an empath, and you've got all of this value. People just want to come and take it from you, and that's why you feel harmed, you feel hurt from being around certain people. It's because that's exactly what they're doing. They're taking, robbing you to feed themselves. But by doing that, it just makes them worse. It doesn't make them better. But this is what you will find with most people, because they can see that you're valuable, and they just want to use and exploit you. So that's why you've got to protect yourself. You've got to be careful. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. I will be back again tomorrow with another live video. And also, there will be a video premiere beginning on the channel in about 3 hours. So yeah, if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, click all notifications. You will then be notified when I go live again. Donations are greatly appreciated, no matter how small. You can donate through my PayPal. It is paypal.me/Narc Survivor. Or you can also leave a super chat or a super thanks in the comment section. If you'd like to book a one-on-one coaching session with myself, just go to my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. And also check out my Instagram, Narc Survivor YouTube. I am posting some very helpful quotes on narcissistic abuse on there. So follow me, Narc Survivor YouTube on Instagram. Thank you all for joining me on another Chosen Ones live video. I appreciate you all, and I look forward to speaking with you in another live video very soon.